you've had some bouts with when the world is crashing in.
Yeah.
Depression or how do I manage? How do I survive? How do I navigate in a world that is so often chaotic and it's beyond my control? Would you say you've experienced some depression? Because it comes through in some of your lyrics in a period.
Oh, yeah. I was hesitant to say that because I got a couple homies that are clinically depressed. So it's like, this is a life bout for you. This was 2 years for me. Now, I mean, 2 difficult years, but I can't compare my 2 to their 30, their 35, X, Y, and Z. So I was hesitant to say that. But, you know, after 4 or 5 months of every day waking up and saying, why am I here? Like, I'm not doing anything right. My family would be much better without me. It's like, I'm depressed. Like,
and
this
I mean,
is what it is.
If I was doing things right, then it wouldn't be like this. I mean, that's kind of the calculus.
I'm the problem.
And because it doesn't seem right to me, I must not be doing the right thing.
Or in right standing with God, or just all of those thoughts that compound day to day to day to day to day if you're not counteracting them with things that have been stigmatized in my community, like therapy, or even just discussing it. It's kind of like, you know, there's a running, you know, cliche, black people don't need therapy, they got gospel music and grandmothers. And it's kind of like, yeah, but, you know, I've listened to my fair share of choir songs, and I've had plenty of cornbread and macaroni and cheese, and I can't get this dark cloud to stop following me around. So what you just said to me, or what you've been saying to me, culture, for years, it can't be true.
The idea that talking about mental health and emotional health is somehow stigmatized, or it's pushed to the side in black culture. That's what you're telling me?
Oh, yeah. It's seen as weak. It's seen as ancillary, unnecessary, and not for us. And I would argue that African Americans have a deep-seated need to discuss mental health, a deep-seated need for therapy and things like that, because of the compounded trauma, you know, since the history. Like, since we set foot here off of the boats in 1619 against our will, it has been daily trauma. So you got to think that's, you know, 400 plus years, and the trauma carries through lineage when it's unprocessed.
It's handed down in a way, subliminally and subconsciously.
Even through those little cliches like, oh, no, you don't need therapy. That's your trauma talking. That's your ego talking. And the ego is not just about arrogance. The ego is actually there to protect us from pain. And the pain of having to peel back the layers of family trauma, church hurt, racism trauma, and all those things. It's just too painful for certain people. So their ego speaks up and says, no, black people don't do therapy. And I believed that for a while. And it was kind of like, the only other option outside of discussing this, either with my safe spaces, my trusted community, a therapist, X, Y, and Z, and filtering that with God, the only other option is suicide, because this is unbearable.
I can't go on like this.
I cannot.
Would you say that's a signature of a depression? I mean, if someone was listening today thinking, I don't know, I have everybody's got days where I feel like this is a mess up. But actually, would you say that's where you were, like, I'm at a point where I cannot go on this way. This is going to be fixed or I'm out.
It was the monotony. It was like Groundhog Day. Because, still have days. Everybody does. You know, good days, bad days, medium days, or whatever. But it was like, this has been a few months straight.
Every day.
Of bad days. And it came to a head on my birthday in 2015, where it was like, no, I'm supposed to be living it up today, celebrating life, and I can't get out the bed. Like, my wife was like just down, almost in tears, because, we thought of all days, this would be the day that you would take 24 hours to snap out of it. And the thing is, I wanted to. Like, if I could snap out, I don't want to be stuck in this bed, you know, with the blinds closed, covers over my head, and negating the shower, all those things. It's like, I would much rather be up, you know, fresh, dressed, out, partying, whatever, to celebrate another year of life in America as a black man. I couldn't even get out the bed. And that was the wake-up call of, like, this is not just random.
There's something going on here that's bigger than just the moment.
And it lasted after that day for over another year and a half.
What did you do?
I decided to throw nonsensical cliches away and do the work. And the work started with safe conversations. So before I could, do ego work or, process an old trauma, it was just like, I need a place where I can just talk, and I might say something wild that may come about because I'm not me right now. Like, I'm a different person than the person that I've known, from 1986 to 2015. I don't know who this guy is, and he may say something crazy. I need to be safe. I need to know that I'm loved, that you can look past, eat the meat and spit out the bones. And it started with those conversations with my wife, with my pastor, with a lot of my homies, and people pointing me to, like, man, there were some people people have a tough time sitting in gray spaces, sitting in the muck. It's much easier to say, like, oh, I'll pray for you and walk away. It's much easier to send you to somebody else, but to actually sit with you through uncertainty, through gray. People have a tough time with that. And there were close people that I still love to this day that were like, you're probably just bipolar. You should just get some medicine and you'll be fine. And it's like, hey, that is probably one of the most disrespectful sentences to people that actually deal with that specific mental health issue. Because for them, it's not a throwaway thing. This is a daily actual battle. It's not something that I chose, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then there were also other people that were like, I'm with you, bro, till the wheels fall off. So if this lasts for another 2 weeks, or if it lasts for another 20 years, I'm gonna be sitting right here with you. And those were the beginning forming conversations that led to peeling back, to childhood trauma. I'm an Enneagram guy, and I read a book, and the author said, most people don't know that they're not in the driver's seat of their life. Trauma's driving the car. And if they do know trauma is driving the car, they think they're in the passenger seat. So every now and again, you can grab the wheel and be like, no, we going this way. Trauma's driving the car, and you are tied up in the trunk. You have no clue where trauma is taking you, and you have no control over it either. And most of that trauma is childhood trauma. So it took me, like, navigating through the years 2015 and 2016 and going back to, so these things are happening. These events are happening. Why am I responding?
That's right. The why questions.
Yes.
Why am I reacting this way?
And gauging my response helped me unveil and discover, like, oh, this is the root issue. And the root issue for me, insecurity and lack of validation. Which, if you were to listen to my story up until this point in the podcast, like, no, you had the name.
You had it together.
You were the musician. You turned into the rapper. You were hobnobbing with, Lecrae and X, Y, and Z. You had all the validation in the world. It didn't come from the person that I needed it to come from. And to spare their reputation, we won't talk about who that is, but I'm still looking to them to this day. Like, I want a Grammy. You see it?
Yeah. I
got a platinum plaque.
But you were able to discover that. And because when it made sense,
yes,
then you can manage it.
Jay-Z, again, I've referenced him a million times. I promise I believe in Jesus way more than I do Jay-Z. He did an album called 444. He stepped out on his wife and made a very honest album. And one of the songs he says, he's apologizing to Beyonce. He says, you can't heal what you don't reveal. So until you uncover it, you can't do nothing with it. It's just there, festering. It's the elephant in the room that everybody sees and walks around, as opposed to, like, how do we get Dumbo out of the living room? I can't see the TV. He got to go. You can't heal what you don't reveal.